Hey everyone, it's me Jay, and that's Fig. I guess she's going to be joining us today. But today I wanted to make a video talking about an event that happened not too long ago. It was regarding my job that I just quit, and now that I don't work there anymore, I finally feel free enough to tell this story. It was something very traumatic, I feel like, to happen to me that really put me in a tough spot. It was kind of like that realization of my job is a great job to, wow, this job is really, really shitty. It was that boiling point that I finally hit. And I kind of like right there reflected, after this event happened, I reflected and I realized how terrible this job was treating me. And it was kind of one of the reasons why I really, really wanted to get out of there and I really wanted to quit. And the reason that I'm making this video today, I didn't know if I wanted to make it during Vlogmas or not, but the more that I kept thinking about it, the more angry I kept getting, because I know a lot of us in the LGBT community, or even any minority, we live on a day-to-day basis with our guard always up. We deal with constant harassment, constant belittlement. We are always discriminated against, and it's just it isn't fair. It isn't fair that we have to constantly explain ourselves, constantly defend ourselves, and constantly fight for ourselves. We should be treated as human beings. And sometimes, you know, we're stuck in an event that maybe can really put us down, that maybe can just really, I don't know, make you feel like you're alone. And I just wanted to make this video to tell you guys you're not alone. Like, I've gone through it, so many other people have gone through it, and you are strong and you will get through this, and hopefully one day we can make this world a better place and we can get past all of the negativity and all of the harassment and the discrimination. And yeah, so this topic is pretty serious. It was just a line of things that happened. It started with a tweet, and it just regarded my boss and how I almost got him fired because of something he had said to me. So this took place maybe like 3 or 4 months back. I was in the office with my boss and we were talking about work-related stuff. He was showing me some stuff on the computer. I was a new manager, and he was showing me kind of how to run some stuff, I think. And my girlfriend also works for the same company, and we used to work together at a place that is located in the same building. And I ended up getting transferred because she got promoted, and I got transferred because we couldn't work together. She was higher than me, and I worked at the new location very well, and they ended up promoting me there. So I was making pretty decent money there. So it wasn't like a hidden thing that my girlfriend and I were dating. So my manager knew that we were dating, and he asked me in the office that day, "Oh hey, is Emily a lesbian?" Like randomly, which is right off the bat not okay. Asking me about my girlfriend, asking me if she's a lesbian. It made me feel uncomfortable. So in this situation, you know, I tried to laugh it off, kind of explain it, and just kind of be sincere, just like ignore it, just, you know, whatever. So I was like, you know, yeah, I said, no, she's not a lesbian. She, I guess, considers herself a little more queer, like I do. We both we kind of say we're more bisexual, like that's what we kind of identify ourselves as. And then after that, he retaliated with, well, does that mean that you're the exception? Like, are you the exception? Like, is that why she's bisexual, kind of thing? And that's what he was referring to. And when he asked that question, I didn't realize, like, are you the exception? Like, what does he mean by that? Because I didn't know he knew that I was trans. I mean, I know a lot of people that I see, like, around the location doesn't know I'm trans. It's not something that I go around like, you know, hey everyone, I'm transgender. Like, that's not something that I do. So I wasn't aware that he knew I was trans. And so I was like, did he say that because I was trans? Does he know that I'm trans? I was really taken back, because I was like, what does that mean? And I felt really offended because I knew it was something that wasn't right. And so I was just like, I said no, and then like the conversation kept going and it changed, and I was like stuck with that thought for the next like a month and a half. And it wasn't until like a month and a half later that I was sitting down and I was with him again, and then he had said something that kind of like assured me that he knew that I was trans. And I don't remember what he said. I don't think it was something disrespectful, but oh yeah, we were talking about like families, and he asked me, I told him how my families were treating me, and then he kind of like made a comment of like, oh, is it like because you're trans, kind of thing. And that's when I kind of knew that, and that was more of a sincere like conversation, like he was being nice to me, so I wasn't offended by that. But then that's when I kind of knew that he knew that I was trans, and so that kind of like solidified that comment that he made previously to me, that, oh, is your girlfriend the exception? Also asking me if my girlfriend was a lesbian was not okay. So when I realized that he had told me, that he had asked me if I was my girlfriend's exception because I was trans, meaning that me being trans, is that the reason why she is like bisexual? That's not the reason why she considers herself bisexual, is because I am male to female, so like she like settles for me kind of thing. And so that comment is biphobic, that comment is transphobic, that comment is just none of anyone's business. It's just something that no one says. Like, who says that? Who is that interested in someone's relationship that they say that? So when I kind of made that clear in my head, when I kind of had that switch, like, oh, he knows I'm trans, that's what that comment meant, I got upset. And so I tweeted about it, and I'll put the tweet right here. And I was just taken aback, and like, not thinking, I didn't think this tweet would have any like validity in the future. I didn't think anything would happen to this tweet. I just wanted to share it because I feel like I myself am a public figure, and I do believe that if something happens to me like this, I have every right to share it. I feel like I want to connect with people. I want people to kind of share their experiences and feel like they're not alone. So I shared this tweet, and I was confident, and I never took it down either. But I have a friend who works for the same company. He was the same position I was, but at a different location, and he saw my tweet, and he remembered that I told him about that instance. And while he was reading my tweet, he was with another like big manager of a different location, and he showed that tweet to the other manager, who then apparently goes on the next day and shows the tweet to a really big higher up of the location. And that higher up was really mad about it, apparently. She was really disgusted with the tweet, I guess, and disgusted with it, and I'll get back to that, but she was really upset with the tweet. So she sent it to the highest person that you can for something like this, for a harassment issue. And so an investigation started regarding my manager for telling me this, and regarding like being revolved around my tweet for harassment, because this was harassment. This comment that he made was harassment. And so this tweet was shared to a very big higher up, and this higher up then texted my friend, asking my friend for a picture of the tweet. She wanted a screenshot of the tweet so she could see it herself, and so she can proceed with the harassment claim, and she can kind of get along with the kind of investigation under my boss. And so my friend takes a screenshot and goes to send her the tweet, but then accidentally sends the tweet to the manager that told me, am I the exception? So the manager that's under investigation now has the tweet that I sent, that I wrote. And so now I was in the middle of this entire situation, and it was so upsetting because I didn't want any of this to blow out of proportion. I was angry and I tweeted something. But now he knew about the tweet, but he didn't know he was being under investigated, because my friend, when he asked what this tweet was about, my friend kind of covered up the tracks saying, oh, you made Jay really upset, and didn't tell him that he was under investigation. So now I had to balance out this investigation, them asking me questions, them asking me to fill out a report, and also him being terrified he's going to lose his job because he thinks that I'm going to go file a report, not knowing that there's already been a report filed against him. But I didn't file the report. I didn't do that. This event just kind of let down. So I got the text that weekend basically telling me all that happened. So I knew whenever I came back to work that next Monday, I was going to be in for a wild ride. I knew that that boss was going to come up to me and try to apologize, because he texted me that night saying, I'm so sorry if I ever hurt you or upset you. I never meant to do that. He was really concerned he was going to lose his job. And I also knew that when I came back in, I was going to have to fill out a report and kind of write a paper basically on what happened and what events transpired, and basically kind of so the investigation can be complete. So this was a really crazy event that happened, And I didn't know how to handle it. I had a breakdown because I didn't want anyone losing their job because of this. I knew the comment was made in ignorance, and I knew it wasn't made in a harmful manner. But at the same time, it didn't make it any less horrible than what it was. And the reason that I was really, really upset by it, the reason that I didn't want this person to get fired, was because I knew that everyone in that location did not like this manager. They did not like him at all, and they wanted to do whatever they could to get him fired. So, and I knew this because I've heard like talk from my friend, from everyone around the location, about how much they hate this manager, how much they wanted him gone, how much they wanted, because he never did anything, and they wanted to replace him, they wanted to move him everywhere, and there was always talk on how much they hated this manager. So I knew that this event, whatever this happened, blew up out of proportion because they wanted to get rid of him. And another reason that I knew was because other managers around that area had vocally said things that were transphobic, that were racist, that were just not fair, and no reports were ever made, nothing was ever said. It was just swept under the rug. But for some reason, because he said it, they made it into this big thing that they wanted him fired. So coming Monday, I knew that I had to say something. I knew that I wasn't okay with the reason him being fired, or the reason him getting in trouble, was because he was transphobic. I knew that this was more than that. I knew that it was their vendetta. So I wanted to make it clear that I did not want him fired, that I knew it was made out of ignorance, because I didn't want to satisfy their want for him to get fired. And I even told them, I talked to the managers that were investigating him, and I was saying, I don't know what's more transphobic, the fact that he made this comment and it really offended me, or the fact that you're using his comment, his transphobic comment, against him to get him fired because you don't like him. So what's more transphobic, your actions or his? And it was really upsetting. So in the report that I made, I talked about every single manager that had said something that was problematic, that was not fair. So it would lessen the blow on him, because I knew that I couldn't get this person fired because they wanted him fired. If he got in trouble, then I would understand, because that kind of comment that was made isn't okay in any setting. And I don't care if you're watching this and you hate trans people and you think it's fucked up that I almost got a person fired. Regardless, if I was straight and someone asked me about my relationship, a boss asked me about my relationship, that's harassment. That, regardless, just getting too in depth of like my personal life is harassment. That's no one's business. So that was very upsetting, and the whole line of events that occurred because of this was really upsetting, and I was upset. I didn't want to work there anymore. I was like, how they're using me. Like this entire company, this entire time I've busted my ass, I've been working here, and it's always because they've been using me. And not even just to fire him, but they've been using me in to satisfy their needs in the job that I'm working. It was extremely hard, and they put so much stress on me, and they were just treating me like shit, and I physically could not work there anymore. And so I went through a lot of stress. I went through this spiral downfall, and my personality changed, and I didn't want anything to do with the job. And I made it pretty clear how upset that I was. But regarding his termination, and regarding whether or not he got in trouble, I have no idea what happened, because nothing ever came out of it. I never heard any further follow-ups with the story. No one ever reached out to me and told me anything. So I think my letter that I wrote was it did this job to lessen the blow and to kind of open their eyes that they were using me. So in the end, I think everything's okay in the situation. Nothing really changed, but the only thing that really changed was my mindset on the job and how unprofessional and crazy things were. And to kind of further explain what other managers had said that I felt was problematic, there was another manager at the location who worked at an Asian style restaurant, and he would say orange chicken in a really racist Asian accent. There was another higher up who was of Asian descent, and other managers would pick on them, basically saying all the stuff about their ethnicity. this other manager once told a girl, like, I'm not gonna call you by your preferred name because that's not your legal name, which is transphobic. Even though if she wasn't trans, I was standing right there, and saying something like that is transphobic, because when I first worked there, my legal name was my dead name, and I went by the name that I preferred in my legal name now. So like, if she had that mindset whenever, like before I legally changed my name, like that's transphobic. When you apply for this job, you are allowed to have any name you want on your name tag. So for her telling that to another employee, that was transphobic. So just a bunch of these things like this happen, and then we're swept under the rug and no one ever said anything. And so I just felt like it was unfair that, that they were doing something because they disliked this person. So yeah, that is my crazy story. Like I said, I don't know what happened. I don't know if anything transpired, because I just felt like everyone was acting like children because of a tweet, and because I was upset, which I'm allowed to be upset. I'm allowed to tweet what I want to tweet, but I felt like I was in the middle trying to balancing everything out. Oh, and I forgot to even go further. And the following Monday, that manager that said the thing to me, he came up to me and he apologized himself. But the apology was so like one-sided. It was like, oh, I'm so sorry, like you and your girlfriend are a beautiful couple, but you know that this tweet could get me fired, right? And that made me mad. I'm like, so you only care about your job, you only care about losing your job, you don't care that you actually said something offensive, you don't care, you just care that because you got caught. And that's what I felt like. It didn't feel sincere. So I'm just upset with everyone in the whole location. It felt like everyone was being children. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. It was crazy, it was wild, and it was just a bunch of events that shouldn't have happened that happened. And I never took the tweet down because I have 100, like that event happened to me, that situation happened to me. So I'm allowed to tweet it, I'm allowed to share it, and I'm allowed to kind of like just talk about experiences that I've experienced, talk about transphobia, talk about just homophobia, talk about things that happen in our community that we are discriminated against constantly. So if you guys have ever been in a situation like this, please feel free to share. I'm sorry this video is so long, but there's just so much that went into this whole story. So thank you guys for sticking around if you watched the whole thing. If you want to support me, I have a Patreon and I also have an album. Those will help me out a lot because, as you guys know, I don't have a job right now. So yeah, thank you guys for everything. I also have a Twitter and Instagram. You can keep up with me on there. I'll leave those links in the description as well. So yeah, thank you guys for everything. I'll see you guys in the next one. Day 4 of Vlogmas. Fuck yeah. I'll see you guys later. Till then, bye.